So this goes out to the ADHD people out there. Like, I've been looking at the total sum of my life, and it's like this has been something that I think is more obvious than not. Something I've tried to overcome, and I've developed myself so much as a compensation for a significant degree of dysfunction when it comes to management of basic stuff, that I've become a big picture kind of person with like infinite creativity. And part of my pursuits in life were to try to structure myself well enough in business to try to graduate to the next level where I could just focus on creativity and unburden myself from the day-to-day management of tasks. That's problematic because I built my business with narcissists who just basically jump ship and leave me with more mess than if I would have just done it alone. But when I look at the total sum of my life and I go, oh my God, like I've had vehicles repossessed because I couldn't handle the bill with the money. Like, talk about shame and guilt. Talk about like avoidance of guidance counselors and having to heavy load myself with organic chemistry, calculus-based physics, all at the end to try to graduate, while being devalued by a narc girlfriend and best friend, double discard, car accident, and then, holy moly, just guilt trip. See, for me, I've made so much strides in the development of myself that just could never quite outpace the accumulation of breakdowns related to just the ordinary management of my existence. And it created so much depression, but I can also see that while I could excel initially in various work capacities, that the devaluation would correlate to also just the difficulty it already existed as, that the management of tasks and staying organized and on top of things and communicating and responding right away. What happens is that if I get a little behind and then I start being devalued or questioned or picked at even by customers, it's like a snowball effect where my already challenged existence gets exacerbated to a point of near disability. And I've never quite addressed that I've been trying to persist to overcome it, that I've been trying to fight to be ordinary. I've been trying to make it. And recently people have talked to me about ADHD. And it's like, oh my God, I was articulated as having some form of learning disability. And when I was a child, I could not focus. I could not pay attention because my mind is just all over. Like, there's things that I love and things that draw my attention. And I could excel at those. Like, I could build remote control cars in 3rd grade, often without using the instructions. But in class, I couldn't pay attention. I couldn't keep up with normal kids. And I was put into like essentially special education. And this was something that haunted me because it also brought so much guilt and shame and a lack of belonging that I couldn't be like other people. And it was very traumatic, and I didn't understand it. And it haunted me throughout college and throughout adulthood. And I never really figured it out. But what I've been able to do for myself is ongoingly let go of the invalidation of self, break through, find new levels of self-expression and mental clarity. And in some ways, the dynamics of the creativity of my mind have continued to sharpen and expand over time. That my quest to try to free myself from my own self made my mind powerful and expanded my creativity and understanding over time. But, it's still problematic. This isn't a mind you want to turn inward. That like, for me, the fall from grace of being triggered into the stress and anxiety and dysfunction, it's such a stark contrast from the person I exist as socially, or the way people would understand me if I was talking to them, is that I'm trustworthy, that I'm good intended, that I never, intentionally do anything bad. And it's like I can see that I wouldn't call it being grandiose, but it's like trying to have an optimal positive outlook, even from within the dysfunction, that I've never been able to fully address what happens to me in these capacities. Like I could not study history. I could not study using flashcards. You cannot get me to sit there and read. I couldn't do it. I had so much anxiety when it came to just doing homework. I couldn't do homework in high school. I couldn't do it. Could not do it. If I had a test, it would just eat me alive. If I had a bill, if I saw the bill come and I know it's due in 2 weeks, it would loom and create so much angst. Like even just buying food, I would think about this or think about that. And it was just all pervasive all the time. And I can see that I develop significant aversion towards certain tasks, especially if I get behind or it's something that has layers of complexity. It becomes very, very overwhelming. But I developed strategies for that. Like I tried to minimize my exposure to the quantity of work. I would even favor bigger projects that would knowingly take more time but pay better because it favored my creativity. And I didn't want to do things that didn't require creativity. Like if I couldn't do basic auto mechanic stuff because it would be too boring, I would have to be able to advance my creativity, advance the quality of the work. And so there's this double-edged sword where like the level of stuff I could do is very high, but my effectiveness is low. And at some places I admired ordinary people. Like there's people that do the same kind of work I do, and they would have a business and they would just do the same thing. I couldn't do it. That I actually willfully never do the same thing. That if I get a car for a similar thing, then I have to change things and advance it, make it a little better. Little teeny secrets that I would apply, like little things. And, this has been a lifelong struggle. And I couldn't see it. That I knew there was something, but it's like nothing that I dealt with my psychiatry or anything has ever really made that much of a difference. That, a lot of the things like, say, depression, I think were directly result from this kind of stuff. And I've tried to go into different careers. It's like I could never have like job stability. I just couldn't do it. Like I would automatically think big picture. I would see the mechanics of things. I would try to operate outside the boundaries of the limits of my role. Like it was like in a straitjacket. And I could see things from a big picture, from the mechanical aspects from it, from an operations standpoint, from, everything about efficiency within an organization. Yet I'm just here to sell. I'm just here to do this. I'm just here to do that. And it would become constraining, frustrating, and those other things would become preoccupations in my imagination that would be distractions. Because I was looking for ways to simplify things for myself too. And, that big picture mentality enables me to do big things out there in the world, especially for other people. Line up big opportunities, call, and be highly inspired to do things and create and invent things. But I can see now that whatever this is, if I do end up being diagnosed with ADHD, I could see how my desperation to just belong, fit in, be normal, and then these emotional challenges, like these triggers that would just consume me every day, would be the ongoing basis of devaluation. That when I would be in these states of frantic, panic over even simple things, getting overwhelmed, and then that would be like these narc friends and people would just do a number on me. And so now I look at it like, in a way I've repeated that cycle, and now I'm kind of stuck in the aftermath of it. And, kind of looking at ADD as a potential explanation is giving me a lot of peace of mind and relief, even though I'm still within those, that stuckness. And so, that's where I'm at. Pray for me. I'm trying to get my life on track, and I appreciate all the following and so